that swing.
That's impossible.
Under 17 not admitted without parents or guardian. Under 17 not admitted without parents or guardian. Under 17 not admitted without parents or guardian.
Good evening, fans of fantastic films, and welcome once again to the Drive-In Asylum double feature. I'm Bill Van Ryn from Fanzine Drive-In Asylum, and my co-host Sam Panico from BNS About Movies. Hello, Sam.
Hello, how are you?
I am so excited to do this show tonight.
I am too. I've been excited since we announced it. And we got some awesome two wild movies. Someone said this is a little different than what you usually do, but I don't see it as any different. I think these fit in the middle of stuff we show. Also, they're two movies that I talk about the Apple all the time, so that's not really fair. But these are also two movies that I don't think get discussed as much as they should as cult movies. So I'm super excited to talk a lot about them.
Yeah, agreed. This is going to be like watching these two movies for the first time for me, because I know I've seen Shock Treatment. I don't remember anything about it. I rented it in the 80s. Sam, it looks like the camera is frozen on an image of you looking down at your phone.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my God.
We're just seeing you staring downwards.
Let me try to restart it. Hold on 1 second.
So, Sam went away for a second. Don't worry, he'll be back. Okay. Yeah, this is something that I rented on VHS in the 80s. And I was just, I wasn't really big on Rocky Horror because the first time I saw it, I was annoyed that everybody was talking in the theater and I couldn't pay attention to the movie. So I wasn't like the biggest Rocky Horror fan. I caught up to that later in life, of course.
Do you see me now? Am I moving now?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Everything's good.
I have the
Beautiful.
weirdest way into Rocky Horror because obviously, I grew up in a really small town and couldn't go to Pittsburgh. I remember once going past King's Court, seeing everybody lined up, thinking, man, I really want to be part of that. But, there was no way in Elwood City to be part. So I used to watch the home video of Rocky Horror and listen to the cassette that they made of the New York cast doing it live, and I would just pretend that I was there. So that's how I got really into Rocky Horror. Also, my mom is super into Rocky Horror still. She's a big Tim Curry fan, but she is super into it. So
that's amazing. Your mom is into Rocky Horror.
She loves Rocky Horror so much.
Well, yeah. I mean, is she? I always assumed she was a lot older than you, and she's not in that age bracket exactly.
No, she's not. But I think it just hit her right because she's always liked kind of like cabaret kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like singer, like big, loud kind of singers like that. And she always really thought Tim Curry was great. And just Rocky Horror just hit her right. I don't know why. I think it was just the fun of it. And so she, when it finally came out on video, it was a big deal to us to get to see it and rent it, because, if you grew up in a really small town, there's a chance you might never get to see it. You know what I mean? Like, and the first time I saw it was in Los Angeles. And it's wild because there, instead of throwing toast, they throw tostadas or like burrito shells, like UFOs at the screen. So there's every town obviously has its own little weird things. So I love it. I think it's really cool. I haven't watched it in a long time, but it's kind of hard too because like Becca's a lot, not a lot, a lot younger than me, and so to her like there's no real shock in Rocky Horror. Like she doesn't really understand it, and I'm like, well, you have to imagine when it came out and when it got big, and the fact that. It's funny because Rocky Horror failed when it came out because who knew what kind of movie it was? I think, they thought it was originally a horror movie and then a comedy. Then it started doing its own thing in midnight screenings. She doesn't really understand that. Do you know what I mean? She grew up when video was already out. And, you could, in the beginning of the era where you could see anything you wanted at any time. So lining up all night to, see a movie and dressing up for it. Just isn't really as into it. She doesn't understand like the idea of like performing with the movie and shadow casting, but that's okay. Everybody in their own way,
Dan thinks it's better than Rocky Horror.
I really like it too. I'm not going to say it's better than Rocky Horror. I would say it's a better filmed movie than Rocky Horror. I really like, and honestly, it feels a little less dated because it is so. It is very much of today. There's a lot of stuff in this movie that this movie could have been made today or in the last 5 years. It really makes a lot of sense.
Mike Justice with some info for us on whether Rocky Horror was really a failure or not. It's interesting because I was looking at videos on YouTube earlier about shock treatment, and there was an interview with Richard O'Brien from January 1982, which is when the film Shock Treatment was first released in the UK. It had already played America and pretty much failed. So there he was bringing it home. And, but, as we know, Rocky Horror was considered a failure, despite the numbers that Mike quoted, which, it accrued later in life. It wasn't considered a hit film. Nobody knew it was going to still be so influential and so beloved.
Yeah. And, the interesting thing is, like, I remember reading, this is going to age me a lot, but Bananas magazine was like, remember that magazine? It was like kind of like.
Oh, I sure do. Yeah.
There was an article there was a whole Rocky Horror issue of Bananas. And they talked about the sequel coming out and the idea that the sequel is going to have all the same monsters come back. And it was going to be called Rocky Horror Shows Its Heels. But then Tim Curry didn't want to come back. And Jim Sharman, the director, was like, I really don't want to make the same movie twice. So then 2 years later, Jim Sharman is like, you know what, we should make a sequel. But that sequel is again, it's not. It's honestly, you don't at all ever have to see Rocky Horror at all
No,
to get this movie.
even Richard O'Brien said that, and he said, "I didn't want to make a sequel; it was an equal."
Yeah, Richard
Yeah.
O'Brien's a crazy talent because he shows up in
Oh,
movies
yeah.
you never expect him. He's in Flash Gordon, and you like don't remember that. You know, he's one of Prince Barron's men, and he has a pretty significant part in it. And but yeah, he just randomly shows up and stuff, which I love. I really dig this movie though because one, I love the idea of people that want to be on. It's funny because the idea of people being on TV all day, they would call these people influencers today. So if you frame this movie within the lens of social media, this movie makes a ton more sense. And the idea that this entire town has turned itself into a studio and that they live worshiping TV or worshiping media all day is really awesome.
Some love for Phantom of the Paradise going on in the chat.
I will say, I have seen Phantom of the Paradise shadowcasted, and that movie does not need anybody to talk or sing over it because there's so much happening. I love that movie because it's like the problem is like, you know what, everything, like split screens all the time, insanity all the time. But you know what that movie has in common with this movie, Bill?
What's that?
Jessica Harper.
Oh yeah, Jessica Harper.
Do you think she was like, you know, can I stop
The American Girl.
Can I stop being in movies that have stuff, horror, music-based movies where the only people that care are a bunch of mutants? Can I please stop? Because I'm in Suspiria, I'm in Phantom of the Paradise, I'm in Shock Treatment. Like really, and Pennies from Heaven. Can I stop being in these movies that only Sam Panico obsesses about? That's literally, she called me out.
Wasn't she in The Evictors?
Yeah.
That was pretty low key.
Yeah, I love her. I think she's great. She's great in this. I love Susan Sarandon, but my heart's with Jessica Harper, American Girl, Jessica Harper, forever. The last as we saw Suspiria with Goblin playing, I really concentrated a lot on how much they shit talk her in that movie. She has a horrible, like the worst existence in that movie because nobody wants her at that school. Most of the other girls, even if they want to spend time with her or catty about it, some of them are just outright bitches. And then like the teachers want to kill you instead of teach you how to dance. Like it's a really fucked up experience all the way through.
Yeah, they have a really derogatory way of referring to her as the American Girl.
Yeah.
Like they don't like that about her. And she's, you know, obviously, I don't even know what they're trying to do to her in Suspiria. Like, do they care about her? Like if she had ignored them, would they have just left her alone?
Yeah.
These are the things we'll never know.
I really want to know the business plan of that school because it's the worst.
It's a terrible business plan.
Terrible business. How do they expect? They've lost at least 4 or 5 students just in the time that we know. In the few days, a month, let's say, that we know. Yeah. They give a potentially underage girl wine. I know it's Europe, but still, you know.
Well, yeah, that was normal. It still is.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, or wine.
Yeah.
You know. But it's really like how many? If you take that 2 months and extrapolate it over the 100, you know, how many years that place has been open, they've never made money. Like they must. It's just, you know, sometimes like there's rich women that have a store at Galleria at South Hills, and like their husbands are like, I just have a store. Like it doesn't matter. Like, you need something to do while I work. That's really what I think that whole thing is. It's a bunch of richer people that just need something to do with their money. And it doesn't matter.
It was all people. Well, the witches were presumably already wealthy.
Yeah.
Like that was their goal, was to accumulate great wealth.
Yeah.
And they were surrounded. Helena Marcus's bedroom had all this stuff that I guess we're supposed to believe that that's all priceless art she has in like that peacock thing. So how much was it?
I laughed.
It was very expensive.
I laughed out loud at that part because it's like Argento's like, hey, this is kind of not like when you get, it's an IMDb trivia moment waiting to happen. Like the bird with the crystal plumage is inside her room. Like, no shit, really? But I love it. Like I love when it happens. It's like, huh? It's like he's elbowing you in the ribs. It's fucking great. Anywho, big Argento week this week, Bill.
And why is that?
The big Severance sale. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
4 Flies on Grey Velvet.
Yeah, and his comedy movie too, The 5 Days. Both coming out on 4K with a book. and 2 pens, $129. And that's a steal. Someone should tell my wife what a good deal that is. So on Friday morning when she sees PayPal things, plus Blood on Melly's Moon, she'll be like, didn't you already buy that? Yeah, I'm going to buy it again. So when she sees like a $200 Severn thing and like a $300 Vinegar Syndrome thing, I'm not living on the streets for the rest of Christmas.
I'm really looking forward to that Four Flies on Grey Velvet, especially because since we saw it at the drive-in, I've been just waiting for something like this to come along so that I could buy it. Because it makes me laugh. You remember how much it made me laugh, though?
Yeah.
Because it was like that resolution in the film is so silly to me, especially when they show it and you realize what that image really is that's imprinted on all these people's eyes, like her pendant that she's wearing.
I love
and it has such a bizarre ending.
I love it because it's like no one ever claimed that Argento was a scientist. You know what I mean? Like none of this science is right, but it's also beyond not right. It's like the eye
it's
is not
inspired lunacy.
Yeah, and I love that there's a lot of genre around that time that start to have that BS science in it because they're like, well, Argento did it and it's going to be big, so we should probably start putting bullshit science in our movies too. The bullshit science of genre goes the whole way back to Death Laid an Egg, a movie about people trying to make super chickens that don't have heads while love triangles going on. What a baffling, awesome movie that is. I'm all about bad science in movies. I don't like any movie that makes Neil deGrasse Tyson shit his pants. I'm all for it. Fuck that dude. Again, 2020. Every year, my goal is to punch Neil deGrasse Tyson in the face. Fuck that guy running. I hate when he's like, "Well, meteor really won't work that way." I don't care. The world sucks. I'm trying to watch a movie to have fun. I don't need any of the science in my shows to add up.
I like the science. I like the debunking of the craziness in films. It doesn't make me like the films any less. I know it's bullshit.
I mean, except for Meteor, we all know that Meteor completely makes sense. I mean, that movie that's really scientific.
Theoretically, it could happen any day now.
It could. I played the pinball machine and was afraid the whole time. They used to have the pinball machine at the drive-in. Remember? Briefly, they did. I wouldn't say it's Sean Connery's finest moment, but it's a moment. Anyways, the Shock Treatment.
Shock Treatment, yeah, that's the movie we're watching tonight.
The other thing
thanks to everybody who came to the chat, and remember to click like and share the video, and we'll love you forever.
This was a really complicated shoot because the Screen Actors Guild was on strike while they did it, so the whole thing's shot on a soundstage in the UK, which I really think adds to it. I'm also a big fan of movies that are shot completely on sound stages instead of in the real world. Like, for example, any Kubrick movie, especially Eyes Wide Shut, which is hilarious that they built an entire New York street because he didn't like to fly, and Streets of Fire. So those are the kind of movies I like where they're like inside. So this has a really tight feeling of that. And I also like that there's some great people in this. Cliff DeYoung's in it from The Hunger, playing Brad, and Jessica Harper. Here's my ironic moment. Cliff DeYoung is married to Janet in this movie, but he's dating the other Janet in The Hunger.
The mind boggles.
It does. So, and Denton is the town. It's owned by Farley Favors, who's also played by DeYoung, and it's totally encased within a movie studio. Denton, Texas, which I've been to, is also the hometown of one of the biggest wrestling families, the Von Erich. So, Denton's a very strange little suburb of Dallas. And then I kind of love that throughout the movie, there's all these little shows like movies within a movie and shows within it, like Marriage Maze, hosted by Bert Schick, who is Dame Edna, but really Barry Humphries, but it's the same actor that is Dame Edna. And then I like that based on how you do within these shows, you get kind of moved on. So there's some people whose lot in life is only to be a studio audience, and then there's other people who get to be the actors and get to rule the channel. And become celebrities within the town. Yeah, I really don't know how anyone goes to the bathroom. I don't know how anyone eats or has a normal life. It's pretty wild. Rick Mayall's in it too from the Young Ones. There's a ton of like really fun people in this movie. And Chris Malcolm, who's the officer Vance Parker, he's the first Brad from the Rocky Horror Stage Show. And Betsy Brantley, who plays Neely Pritt, she was the body model for Jessica Rabbit. And whenever they made Who Framed Roger Rabbit, you can totally tell. And
Was it her idea to put the dirty stuff in?
probably, I think it was anybody that looked at her for longer than 30 seconds. They were like, geez. They literally got the. I love that scene when she first appears and every Tex Avery character shows up with their eyes like going crazy and stuff. And Sal Piro, the club president of the Rocky Horror Fan Club, also in this movie in a brief cameo, which I'm sure upset everybody because, as you know, Rocky Horror fans were so upset about the equal, not a sequel line,
Yeah.
which doesn't make sense. But they were very early on social media upsettedness.
That someone commented with that on Groovy Doom earlier this week because someone asked me. It seemed like the person that asked was setting me up because they were like, "Isn't this supposed to be a sequel to the Rocky Horror Picture Show?" And of course, I answered yes. And someone popped out and was like, "Oh, it's not a sequel; it's an equal." So I didn't mind being corrected.
The other interesting person, the auto dealer Irwin in this, is Barry Denon, who was romantically lived with Barbara Streisand for a year before coming out and helped Barbara develop her entire career. He's in a ton of movies. He's Punch as Pilot in Jesus Christ Superstar. He's the guy who screams the N-word in the Kentucky Fried Movie and runs in the stunt segment in that. He's in The Shining, Dark Crystal, Madhouse, The Shadow, Trading Places, a ton of voiceover work. He's in this and great too. But yeah, I really dig this, and there's some great songs in it. It's really catchy and just kind of. I'm glad it exists. Like, it's a movie that honestly I didn't know existed when I was young and first getting into Rocky Horror. So learning about it, learning that it's kind of neat to discover these movies that nobody isn't that the whole subject of this show. Let's just talk about the subject.
Yeah.
Isn't it neat to discover these things that you didn't know existed and learn like, hey, there are some people that are obsessed about them and really are into them, and then you get obsessed about them. That's what I think.
If we had a mission statement, that would be it.
Yeah. Yeah. David, I'm also glad you know about the Von Erichs. They're a huge deal. There's a movie coming out about them too, which is pretty exciting. Really interested to see what they do with it. So, anywho, did you go to King's Court to see Rocky Horror, Bill, or any of the places in town that played it?
Yeah, I did. The King's Court was the first place that I saw Rocky Horror, and I guess that was probably in 1988 or 1989. Because it was in my freshman year in college. And I hated it. I fucking hated it. And everybody was obnoxious. And I don't know, I was a little intimidated to be going there because it feels like you're going to a party where you don't know anybody at the Rocky Horror. Yeah. I don't know. That's how I always felt, but especially there because everyone looked cooler than me. And that's not hard to do. But it was.
We were talking about your high school look in the other day. Your high school driver's license, where you have kind of a Robert Smith kind of.
Oh my god! So yeah, that was the first place I saw it, and we walked in there, and I had to go downstairs and use the bathroom, and somebody was in costume, and I was just waiting to get into the bathroom, and she was sitting there, and I was like, "Oh, are you in the floor show?" And she was like, "Oh, well, yeah. Of course I'm in the floor show." She was annoyed that I asked her that. And I was like, whoa. Because, it wasn't unheard of for a common audience member to arrive in costume at a screening of Rocky Horror. Even I knew that as a virgin. People are so mean. So I just had an attitude about it. But
it was kind of,
I watched it.
You got gatekept and you didn't like it.
Yeah, I guess that's what it was. I don't know. I should have known better than even say anything. And they were like, someone brought all these kids. That was one of the strangest elements. It was like a Boy Scout troop or something. There was 10 kids around the age of 10, 11-year-old boys. And of course, they were there to terrorize everybody by throwing things at people and hot dogs. And they threw hot dogs at this screening, and they were throwing hot dogs when it was not appropriate and when nobody was looking. So they got tossed at some point. I remember management came down and asked them to either or took all their shit, one of the two. I watched it on home video and I was like, oh, I like this movie. I wish I had paid more attention to it when I saw it, or could have heard it.
Did you go see it again after that? Did you experience it again? And
Never. I never went to see it in a theater again.
Yeah, it's funny. I actually, some people are like, yeah, it's not good without seeing it live, and I disagree. I actually really like the movie. Um,
Yeah, me too.
yeah, I think it's a movie that had to find its audience, obviously, and it found the right people. Some movies take a long time to find an audience. I don't know if that's ever going to be able to happen again now because movies are either in or out of theaters or streaming and then gone. Do you know what I mean? It seemed like when we were younger, like I'm gonna just pick a movie. Like Eddie and the Cruisers, like failed in the theaters, but like on HBO and video, it's all people talked about. You know?
That happens with a lot of movies, and I think it'll still continue to happen,
Yeah.
even though people might not have that theatrical experience that Rocky Horror experience it built over the years. There will still be an audience on home video, streaming, whatever form it takes. People will still be able to shelf something and then come back to it years later and be like, "Oh, this really is kind of interesting."
I'm surprised
Hopefully.
that more. Well, I guess maybe it's cold, but like if Rocky Horror would be a fun experience at the drive-in. So there's more room for acting. You know what I mean? There's more room to get people out there.
I guess we can look at some ads for Shock Treatment.
That would be. I'm excited to see these ads because I haven't seen a lot of them.
There was really only one major design, and it was this one, this image of Richard O'Brien, naturally, from the film. The earliest that Shock Treatment played was in September of 1981. This is from Fresno, California. And they were one of the first places that I could find that was showing it anywhere in the world. So Fresno appears to have gotten it first. These advertisements appeared in the Fresno Bee. I love the name of that paper.
Yeah.
And then after that, it went to Canada. And my ads are a little out of order, so this is not the Canadian treatment, but this was what you saw when you looked it up in the newspaper. What's showing tonight? Oh, another movie from those wacky Rocky Horror Picture Show people. Shock Treatment.
Oh wow! Look at that triple bill.
Mm-hmm. They marketed it as a midnight movie after playing like a few dates as a normal theatrical release. They tried to replicate the success of Rocky Horror by making it a midnight movie.
Man, which one would you pick? I guess heavy metal. I would pick.
That would be the one you'd pick first.
I don't know. There's a lot. Are those 3 screens, or is that 3 in a row?
3 screens.
Yeah, I'd probably pick heavy metal. Yeah, I don't know. Enter the Dragon. Oh man, I don't know. I like all 3 of those. It's not a wrong answer.
I know. I would have never picked Enter the Dragon back in the day, but now I would love to see Enter the Dragon on a big screen.
Yeah.
That would be an experience.
Especially the end of it with the mirror room. I'd love to see that. But heavy metal in a theater would be pretty awesome too, though.
I can't blame you for picking that. That movie was definitely meant to be seen theatrically.
Yeah.
They all are, obviously, but that one is most effective. Trust me, I'm a doctor. See, they got ahead of that too.
Yeah. That's a pretty. I like the art. I just wish they had maybe done a few other images. I do like the kind of TV treatment on his glasses, though, which is very subtle. What a glowing review! It's a great way to spend 90 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, there's worse things they could do to you in 90 minutes, right?
Yeah.
We take all night to do it. We're not done with you till about 1:30 in the morning. Oh, here's a Canadian one.
Oh wow! I love that.
Tell by the leaf.
That dot pattern to the left is wonderful.
Oh, I'm stealing that.
Oh yeah. You should do a little groovy doom seal inside the inside that triangle. A little skull in that.
You're already giving me ideas.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
So here's a whole bunch of places it was playing at midnight. Midnight shows only. You couldn't treat Shock Treatment like an ordinary film. You were forced to see it at midnight.
Yeah. Oh,
And here's a whole bunch of groovy stuff.
Jesus Christ. There's 4 there, all 4 there I would pick. Probably Kentucky Fried Movie, probably. But Song Remains the Same. Part of it's shot in Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
It's a movie.
I just saw that the other day.
Oh, did you? Do you like it?
I had forgotten. I mean, I'd seen it before, but I forgot there was a shot of Pittsburgh in it.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, that looked like Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
On the back, and I was like, oh my God.
Man, there are 4 totally different experiences there, and I'm here for all 4.
I never got Monty Python.
Really?
Moment of Truth. Like, I've tried a couple times to watch Monty Python movies, and I'm not into it.
I think my parents were the right age for it, and they watched it nonstop when it was on PBS, and it just kind of always was on, and I always kind of loved it. Becca's the same way; she hates it, so I think it's it's not for everybody. Kentucky
Look at Richard O'Brien.
I would argue is in my top movies of all time, though. So I'm super in love with that movie.
Look at Richard O'Brien, by the way, how, like, you mentioned the TV effect on his glasses.
Yeah.
The whole head looks like a TV image there.
I know. That's again very ahead of its time, too.
All right. So that's the ad campaign. Oh, wait, there was more. Oh, I forgot. It looks like you're ready to do the cocktail.
Yeah, but show the rest of the ad.
Well, you can do the cocktail, and then I'll show the rest of the ads afterwards.
Okay, I just had to get my phone to get the recipe.
Oh, okay.
So, and I have.
Did you publish it? Did you publish a recipe? I was looking and couldn't find it.
Yeah, I published it all the way back Monday, though. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's really simple. This is a lemonade, but I kind of went all out to try to make it my own. I made some homegrown ingredients for it. I made my own lemonade the other day, and I actually made my own syrup for it, a honey lemon syrup for it. So that's what this is. So this is pretty simple. We're going to start with 1.5 ounces of vodka. Bill, I went to the liquor store today too, though. That was the other highlight of my day.
Ooh.
And I found some balls.
Oh, finally.
Yeah. Small balls, not big balls, but I found
Well, balls are balls.
right?
The
Some
size
balls
of
made
your balls
for
bottle does not matter.
All right, so we're gonna do 1.5 ounces of vodka. Let's do 2 ounces of lemonade. It's pouring very slow. Well, I thought it would pour a lot faster than that. Oh well. The magic of being alive.
I'm just making a really big mess of this cocktail segment.
Yeah. Well, it's just when Becca's not filming it, it's not as good, right? So she'll be very happy to hear me say that.
No, I mean, my table fell over.
Oh, crack it open, a brand new bottle of balls. We're going to do 1/2 ounce of balls. And then let's shake that up. There we go.
Was that the telephone?
Yeah, that was my brother calling. All right, so here's the mix. We're going to start with that. And then you're going to top that with some Sprite or whatever. I'm not going to be branded, but whatever lemon wine.
You don't have an endorsement.
No, I got Black Panther flavor Sprite here. So that's what I got. All right. And then finally, if you want to get really fancy, and of course we do, right? You know how this show rolls. We're going to put some lemon slices in it. Wait till you see how pretty this is. The Denton USA. Look at how pretty that is. Here's what are you drinking, Bill?
I made a Midori martini.
Oh, very fancy. All right. Well, guys, thanks for joining us for Shock Treatment. Excited everybody's here, and let's, as we always say, Pazuzu.
Pazuzu. I was possessed by a demon. Oh, don't worry. He's gone.
Yeah. And now I go to a place and work with kids, and everything's fine.
And I can fix people with my demonic gifts.
Yeah.
So talk about midnight movies. Caligula.
Well, 11th and final week. No more Caligula. We're done. Bob Guccione does not allow us to play it anymore.
If you haven't seen it by now, you're never going to see it. So get your ass to the town and see Caligula.
You know what I love about Caligula is that Joe D'Amato saw it and was like, I can make something scummier. And he did.
Yeah.
More than once.
That's inspiration.
Yeah.
Frankenstein 3D. I still have never seen it in 3D on the big screen.
A dream, right?
But out of these three movies, well, who am I kidding? I would have picked Frankenstein. But I would have gone to see Shock Treatment before I'd see Caligula.
They had Caligula at my video store, and it was high up on it wasn't in the back room. It was in the front room. But it had
Mike Justice got it right.
Yeah.
The most boring film of all time.
But they had it in the front room to rent. And I'd be 18. Of course, my parents would never allow me to rent it. And any kid that had seen it, all they said was they talked about the movie as if like the most horrifying stuff happened. You know what I mean? Like it.
Sure, yeah.
They went into this great detail. There's no way that fucking movie exists. You know what I mean? Like I've seen it. None of that stuff happens in the movie.
They never saw Sallow.
Yeah. What they described was beyond that. Pasolini would have been like, guys, settle down. Like it's too much.
Yeah.
We can't put all that shitting in this movie. That's too much shit eating, guys. Take it out.
Do you know how hard it is to make something like that happen on camera? Do you?
Apophagy is hard, guys.
I like this little homemade logo they did for it at this theater, where you could also
oh my gosh,
see
Black and Blue is playing in a theater? Oh,
yeah.
Damn it.
Black
you know how excited
Sabbath.
I would be about seeing that in the theater? I would lose my fucking mind. Oh.
Why haven't you seen it then?
And not in a theater. I've seen it a lot of times, but I've never seen it in a theater. Oh.
Don't dream it, be it, Sam. Make it happen.
Everything that's playing in that theater is that theater's got it, I'm sure the town elders hated that theater. That's the kind of theater it was.
These are all from 1982, by the way, all these ads. This was after, like Richard said earlier, it was the same weekend that Halloween was on TV. That was where most other theaters got it. October 30th, 1981.
So a lot of people were staying home to watch Halloween.
Of course. Or they were in the theater seeing Halloween 2.
Yeah.
Which opened the same weekend.
That's a great sell.
It sure is.
40 years ago was a great time to be alive. Like when my parents were young, like my parents were my age, they weren't like 40 years ago is better than today. They were like, it really sucked 40 years ago. I don't like this, like, hey, 40 years ago was a lot better.
Yeah.
Kind of feel, right?
But everybody feels that way eventually. It's always you kids.
I don't know. I really try not to be like that. I saw some people talking on Facebook today upset about stuff, and I was like, you're really sounding old. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, the music today isn't good, but you know what? Music's never that great. Like, you know, it's great, but like what you like. Like, of course you don't understand you shouldn't understand what 16-year-old girls like. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's not for you. You should you've grown up. You don't need songs about failed love and stuff. You need whatever you need. I don't know. If you don't get Taylor Swift, it's fine. You don't have to get Taylor Swift is basically what I'm saying. I don't care. You know what I mean? I don't care about anything.
Are you just mad because you didn't get tickets to her
I
concert?
fucking enraged. Man, so angry. So angry. My wife is upset because Paramore is coming and she hates Paramore, but Block Party's opening. So she's like, maybe we'll just leave. That's like the ultimate hipster movie. Like, let's just go see the opener and get the fuck out. You know? But the seats, again, any show you go to now, the seats are like $80 for the cheapest seats. Yeah.
I know. It's crazy.
Yeah. Who could have?
Thank you, Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
It was the Eagles that caused it, you know.
Yeah, oh, they caused a lot of stuff.
They killed rock and roll. Hey, you know what? I have some news. The blanket is back in stock.
Oh, it is?
The blanket is back in stock, and you can see it on the couch behind me. It happens to be adorning my couch right now, but since you can't really get a good look at it, here it is from the Pinsploitation website. Oh, and I have a crawler too that I can put up there.
What a beautiful picture.
Yeah, Merle O'Kelly of Pinsploitation. She ordered some more blankets. They're back in stock. She's doing the Days of the Dead convention in Chicago this weekend. She just posted from it earlier.
I want a
Here's
yellow
good look at the
Jalo
blanket.
blanket. That's goal. If we can make that happen, that would be amazing.
Yeah, I think that'd go over real well. There's so many things and so little time.
I would like to know in the chat, where do your eyes go in this? On the blanket, mine go directly to demons, of course.
Dead people for me.
Oh yeah, either torso or demons, because I just demons is so important to man. There's a lot though.
Dead people, aka Messiah of Evil, would be the one that I wanted to make sure to put some weird stuff in there too, along with Halloween and demons and all the biggies.
I've been doing a lot of meditation now, and one of my meditations the other day was like your wake up one was think about something in the world that makes you happy, and I thought about the side of evil. I thought about like the world of Messiah of Evil and like what it says and all the things about it. And I was like, the fact that exists and I live in a reality that made Messiah of Evil is a really great thing.
Plus, we have to talk sometime about how Cannibal Ferox was called Make Them Die Slowly in America with an ad campaign that has nothing to do with the movie.
Hmm. What one has like the American title "Trap Them and Kill Them"? Is that Cannibal Holocaust or?
I don't know.
I can't remember which one because the band there's a hardcore band Trap Them and that's where they got their name from.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a new one on me.
Yeah.
Well, how about Unsane?
Oh,
you know what that is, right?
No, which one's Unsane?
Unsane is Trauma. Or no, Tenebra.
Tenebra, yeah. Thank you, Mike Josh.
Trauma is Trauma.
Thank you, Mike. Yeah, Trap Them and Kill Them is Emmanuel on The Last Cannibals. That's a great title. Trap Them and Kill Them is an awesome title.
Anyway, they make fabulous Christmas gifts, and they're back in stock. So go check it out at pinsploitation.com.
Also, beyond how beautiful they are super warm too. I love
it's the perfect nap blanket.
Yeah.
Right after work, if I feel like going to take a nap after work.
Becca many times in the blanket, snoozing away, enjoying a nice nap. She's like, "It's so warm." I said, "I know, it's wonderful."
Vivi loves the blanket too.
Yeah.
She's all about the blanket when she wants to cuddle up. So. It's pet approved.
It's Vivi approved. So yeah, that's awesome. It does. If I got it for Christmas, I would be overjoyed. I already have one.
Well, you already have one.
Yeah, nobody buy. But I'm thinking like it's like that kind of gift where if you got it from somebody, you'd be like, yeah, you got me something great.
Yeah, and it's not all that expensive either. I think it's pretty reasonable.
Yeah. Order it now, though. Don't wait till Black Friday. Order it now because it'll.
Oh yeah,
it'll sell out.
She finally stocked a whole bunch of them, it looks like. So I don't think you'll get shut out because it's been available for a couple of weeks now. But still, you want to get there and you want to buy one before they are out of stock because it takes a long time to get them again.
Yeah. I'm super excited for Black Friday to swear at the Severance site. It's my annual holiday trick. The holidays can't begin until the site crashes. And I'm not sure if I'm going to get what I get. And that's like my Christmas miracle begins every year. Vinegar Syndrome site, great. Works easy. Everything's fine. Something goes wrong every year. They put up the rules, and the first comment was, the site going to crash? And they're like, fuck you. Like, yeah, it's going to crash. We know it. We love it. It's like a parade that comes through your living room at 12:05. The rest of your family doesn't watch these movies, doesn't understand why you're so upset. It's fun.
Yeah. That's a tough one to explain, isn't it?
Yeah.
To the normies.
Yeah.
Like, why do you care about this shit?
Everybody's like watching a movie or something. Like, oh, sorry, I have to go in the other room and buy these 2 Argento movies that have never been available in the U.S. And they're like, what? Like, never mind. Just go to Kohl's and shut the fuck up, I guess. You don't get Kohl's cash on the Severance site, right?
There's some Dollar Tree action out there, according to Vince. So
I was there today. I went to a Dollar Tree this morning and looked for stuff.
I should have known.
Didn't get anything, though, believe it or not.
What?
No.
Who are you and what have you done with the real Sam Panic?
There's a Dollar Tree in Greensburg that is packed with stuff, and Becca actually got me something there. You'll see later in the movies of what she sent.
I'm terrified of turning on the news and hearing a story about how a man was found buried under a mountain of DVDs and Blu-rays.
Yeah, I know. I've reinforced the shelves. But you know what? So much stuff has come in this week. MVD has been super kind and sent me a lot of stuff. And they have a lot of partner labels now. And I just talked to them this week. They asked for like some of the numbers on the site. And they're like, oh, we should be sending you more stuff. I'm like, ready? You guys sent me a lot of shit already. By the way, they're up on the site this week, Bill, but Amityville Thanksgiving, let me tell you, it's really not a movie about Thanksgiving or Amityville, but they get it.
What is it about?
It's about marriage counseling, a demonic marriage counselor. Amityville Marriage Counselor is a great title too, right?
Yeah, but it wouldn't have that Amityville selling power, apparently.
No, exactly.
Who knew?
There are the marriage counselor's trick is to bring people to a cabin in Amityville and make them dress up in a turkey costume while they have sex, and he tapes it.
I mean, that series started out respectably, with movies that made a whole bunch of money, and then of course, the law of diminishing returns. They never had another resurgence, unless you count that remake. There was the remake.
The Ryan Reynolds remake.
Yeah, I forgot about that. So, yeah, that probably pumped up the value in the Amityville name. But honestly, it seems like a joke now.
The only reason that movie is memorable to me is, my friend Joe that wrestles as hentai. Do you know him? He's like
I know all your wrestler friends.
Yeah. So he was here, and it was when Soldier was here too. So we took them Soldier to the movies. This is Soldier is a Japanese wrestler who lived with Bill for some time, Makita. So we took him to the movies, and he didn't realize that when jump scares happen, Joe's a really tough, badass wrestler, but jump scares literally make him jump out of his seat. And I didn't even tell Soldier about it. I didn't tell it was going to happen. And the remake of Amityville is just filled with really dumb jump scares. And Joe jumped up so high, he ran down the steps and back up. He was so freaked out by one scene. And just Makita couldn't stop laughing. He's like, why is he so scared? And he's like, is he like fucking with me? Is he like making fun of me? I'm like, no, like he gets freaked out in movies and this is how he acts. And he's like, movie wasn't good at all, but Joe was really good. I like Joe better in the movie. That was his review of Amityville.
I watched all kind of horror movies with Makita.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I had all these imports that had Japanese subtitles at the bottom of those, stuff like The Beyond and something else, Evil Dead Trap.
Oh yeah,
I had a DVD and you could turn on like English subtitles, and we watched the Japanese cut of the movie because he didn't speak English very well, at least when he lived with me.
Yeah,
he spoke enough to get by, but there were mostly we just hung out and we like watched stuff or and he was really into that because the Hideki, the twin that was living inside the other one, it was around Halloween and there was a jack-o'-lantern sitting on the kitchen table, and when we went in the kitchen he went, oh, Hideki. So I think he kind of dug it.
Yeah, he was a good dude. It was fun that when he was here. I missed having. We had.
I miss Makita.
Yeah, he was fun to have here.
It was great just talking to him because there were so many things that we take for granted in American culture.
Yeah.
Like he was obsessed with, those things that you buy at the grocery store and it's a scrubber and you pour dish soap into it and there's a pad at the end of it and you use it to wash your dishes. He was all about that. And we went to like 3 different supermarkets to buy more and more of those so that he could take them back with him to Japan.
There's another Japanese wrestler that was here living with me, stayed for like 2 or 3 weeks with me, named Onru, whose gimmick is.
Oh, I know Onru.
Yeah, he's like
I met him.
Zombie. Yeah, and he wanted one of those scrubbers too. And Onru, you saw how he dressed. Like he was like David Bowie. Like he always.
Oh yeah.
He always like the first time I met Onru, I met him at Kurikan Hall when I was wrestling there. He had on like because in Japan everybody wears masks even before COVID. He had a mask on and he had a robe that had dragons all around it. Like he looked like he was dressed to like either be like a supervillain in like a Japanese horror movie or like to be a rock star. And that's the first time I met him. He was wearing something similar at the Target at the waterfront. And he was buying those scrubbers and he had a cart and he was putting scrubbers on. I was just watching people stare at him. He had like bright, like pink hair and he's this like strange looking Japanese zombie guy buying scrubbers. And it was really awesome. It was like
he was probably shipping them to Makita.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody that I've met over there, like, they don't make these in Japan. Like, this is the best idea. Like, of course, because nobody has dishwashers there either. So, because there's, not enough room in kitchens. They have really small kitchens. Makita's apartment was like the size of your room you're in now. So,
Onru, you brought Onru over to the house once.
Yeah.
And I felt like I blew it, like meeting him, because you kept telling me like he really wants to meet you because he came to your house and I wasn't home.
Yeah.
And he saw all of the one sheets that I had hanging up everywhere, and he was really into it. And I felt like I blew it when I met him because it's a sign of respect when you meet a Japanese person that they don't smile.
Yeah.
Like to them, it's like if you go to them and like, hi, like it's like insulting to them almost. And like I totally did that.
No,
but he was like totally like stone cold, like, and I thought he didn't like me. And then later on, I figured out, I'm like, oh, he was just being nice.
Yeah,
he was being respectful.
He runs a group in Japan called 666, which is all like horror movie and metal gimmicks. And his big thing is they always do a spot in his matches where like he gets put in a submission move, and the referee makes they break if you touch the ropes, and his hand has come off, and his hand. He's a zombie, and his hand is just hanging on the ropes. And he also is covered with zombie dust, so when he gets hit, the dust flies off. It's pretty funny. He's and he also his daughter wrestles as well, and she was like 10 having matches, and she's like looks like a zombie too. And Japanese wrestling is way cooler than we could ever dream of being in this country. There's another dude there, Psycho SK, that wears a helmet filled with firecrackers, and they light him off before he goes off the top rope. So imagine someone with a helmet full of firecrackers doing a headbutt off the top rope. It's pretty intense.
It sounds dangerous, Sam.
Oh, it's all dangerous, right? Isn't that the beauty of it? But I'm excited for Shock Treatment though, and how many people in the chat have not seen it? That's what I'm interested in.
A couple people already mentioned that it was going to be the first time watching it.
Oh, awesome.
So that's exciting. And it's going to be like watching it for the first time for me because I really don't remember very much about it. In fact, maybe it was one of those movies that I just rented. I grabbed it and ended up not watching it. You know how you used to rent like 10 things all at once? Yeah. Like you were going to have time to watch all that shit. So I could have just rented it, returned it.
Do you ever think about that there was a time where I know we can just watch them on TV, But there was a time you could go to a place and just grab 10 movies and watch them. You know?
Well, you had to.
Mm-hmm.
You had to actually have it in your possession to watch it. It's not like, streaming where you could just, or YouTube or whatever. You had to actually secure it in order to watch it. And, maybe you weren't going to watch any movies that night, but you were going to watch them later that weekend. You had to plan ahead. It was great. There was a day when they weren't open and you got to keep it an extra day.
I have a interview coming up with Joe from Found Footage Festival, and that's a lot of the interview talks about pre-internet getting like mixtapes or weird stuff that people had on tape, and this kind of idea of this video underground of like, how did you get, you know what I mean? How did you get this tape? How did you get stuff like Pastor Gas or you ever seen Pastor Gas? It's awesome. It's a Texas preacher. And they just put farting noises over top of every time he's preaching. It's pretty wonderful. And, we're like, you can name a million weird, like, now all that stuff would just go on to YouTube. But at one point, you had to know a guy or you had to know a person and they had this tape. Winnebago Man is another example of one of those. Also, Sex 69 Fun. You guys want a private dating chat? That's how I know we're doing a good job, that we're like connecting and we're getting to the right people. Is that once we start getting
sex girls messages.
Are you ready for the sex girls, Bill? Are you ready for the real sex girls?
Invasion of the sex girls?
Yeah, are you ready for
They'll love the life right out of you.
They will. Yeah.
I dropped the link to Shock Treatment in chat. Let me do it again since the sex girls popped up. I don't want anybody accidentally. Don't click on the sex girls, but click.
Someone has. We don't make any money from the sex girls, just so you know.
No, I hid them, so ostensibly we won't see any more sex girls messages, hopefully. But like Sam said, it's that kind of means you're doing something right.
Yeah. Look for the official Groovy Doom fleshlight. It has ads all over it. It's great.
There has to be something interesting we can do with the insert too.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. It's still a prototype.
Yeah. The vagina of evil.
On the second segment tonight, we're going to have a special guest.
We sure are. Austin Chernick from the Canon Film Guide, who has a ton of Apple sales materials that he's super excited to show us. He's like, oh my God, I'm so excited to come on. I'm like, dude, we're super excited for you to be on it.
Yeah.
So it's going to be really cool. So if you love the Apple, stay tuned, because this is somebody that loves the Apple maybe as much as I do, if not more. So I'm really excited about that.
We also may have a second special guest on the second segment. Not sure if he's going to be able to make it, so I haven't announced it.
Yeah.
You won't know what you missed if you never knew you were going to get it. So,
and also probably more sex girls, right?
I hope the sex girls will be back, because I will be back and Sam, Austin will be here. But for now, go watch Shock Treatment. The link's in the chat. Come back afterwards. We'll have lots more to talk about on the Drive-In Sun and Double feature.